I'm Kel Lash. This mic is all yours.
Thank you, Lynn. So I am Kel Lash. Um, yeah, happy to be here again today. I'm going to hide myself here. So I think it helps me be present sometimes to put the video on as a way of kind of showing up and being more present, holding myself more accountable. So I'm just going to start with a prayer, actually. So for anyone out there, let's just take a deep breath and become present with ourselves now. Let's just take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in, just fill up your heart space. Be open and willing to come down from your head into your heart. I am open and willing to be only truly helpful, to share what is guided, to share from a place of love and not ego, and to be able to discern the difference. I ask for a clear channel of guidance. I am open to any wisdom and clarity that may be truly helpful for me and others. We know we are all of the one mind. So my healing is your healing. Your healing is my healing. And there's no private thoughts. And we know that my thoughts are your thoughts. My judgments are your judgments. So we're willing to honor this and honor any fears, doubts, beliefs, blocks, limitations that we experience and believe we have, to honor them and meet ourselves where we are at with gentleness, so that we can leave the block removal and the return to love and truth and peace and joy and freedom and abundance to the Holy Spirit to figure that out for us. Grateful to be here. The two are more gathered in healing and in love and in truth. And so it is. Amen. So I believe I'm guided to share today a little bit about something. It's coming up. It's coming up in my body. It's coming up in my mind. It's coming up in my life. And it's something that I definitely have not felt confident or competent to speak about at all. But I feel that it is my responsibility to speak a little bit about this today. Because in the course community and in our communities in the world at large, it is not something that I, as a white person, a white privileged American woman, feel like other white people don't feel competent to speak about, which is the topic of race. And particularly in the course community, it is not something that's been really spoken about. And, we are in a very white-centered community here in A Course in Miracles. And like, like many, many communities and many spiritual communities, it is white-centered. And so this has been coming up for me a lot recently. I mean, it's been coming up for me all year. And more recently, I've just been processing a lot about it. And because I've been going through my own personal process of feeling the desire to speak in the Course community and understand the Course for myself in a way that honors and acknowledges where our feelings and where our emotions, where our pain and where our suffering is at, when we are in that place that is not joy, that is not peace, that is not love. When we are in pain in any way, there is such a tendency to avoid and to bypass it. And I've been speaking about this for a long time. I've been speaking with my clients about it for forever, for 12 years, however long I've been a therapist and coach, and now a spiritual coach. And it's a big deal to me. And I even in the Course community, it's like the world at large. It is a very scary and uncomfortable thing to look at our emotions and sit with our own emotions with a gentleness and an ability and a willingness, I should say, to be with them. We do everything in our power to not be with them. And it's our responsibility for ourselves to be with them. And it's our responsibility to others as well to be with our own muck and to look at our own blocks and our own lack of awareness, just to look at where we have judgments of others and where those judgments of others are showing up in ourselves. And while I've been going through this personal process of doing a lot of work personally with this in a much deeper way than just talking about it for so long with clients, I'm really actively doing this now myself. So sometimes it comes up, and I've heard this from other people in the community, in the Course community, is that and I myself, I'll speak for myself, feel like Course teachers sometimes and Course students will have a tendency to bypass and go right to the truth, right to a Course lesson that, I'm not a body, I am free, I am spirit, my innocence is guaranteed. Yet the person is going through in that moment an experience of suffering in their body, of illness. They're not having an experience of being a body that is free right there. That's not the place they're at, even though we know that is true mentally, logically. Yes, we know this stuff is true, but that is not our lived experience. And, if I'm in a place of guilt or shame or self-blame, I'm not knowing that my innocence is guaranteed. And, if I'm attacking myself and not loving myself, if I'm being hard on myself, putting pressure on myself, I do not know in that moment that I am spirit. There's a separation. My belief in separation is there. And even going to, oh, this is just my belief in separation, even that can be bypassing where I'm at right now. Because how did I get to that belief in separation? I got there because ego got me there somehow. So how did I get there? That's what we have to go through. You know, what are the emotions coming up around it? And so, you know, sometimes we feel invalidated even by course teachers or other course students, other spiritual students. If someone goes right to that truth. So our lived emotional experience, our pain feels invalidated, and we don't feel heard. And so, and this is people's experience in the world. One of the greatest human needs, not just a desire, but a need, is to feel heard. And yes, we know on a spiritual level, we don't need anybody, but you know, the core, in the course, Jesus talks about our healing being through our brother and sister. So this is not a one-man island spiritual journey. Yes, I can be at peace on my own. Yes, I can heal the world by just within myself and just by doing nothing, so to speak. I'd like to talk about that too in a bit, what really doing nothing it means. But so this has been my general experience and what I've been guided to speak a lot on, and I keep feeling the need, the desire to speak about it more, because I feel like people continue to not be heard in the world, and we continue to not hear ourselves. This isn't even about being invalidated by others. We invalidate ourselves. We attack ourselves for feeling sad, feeling worried, feeling all sorts of things. So we attack the already attacking thought. So I recently discovered a series that Corrine Zupko started, and she invited, and I may not be getting the details of this right, and I apologize, invited Freedom Cartwight and Yolanda Batts, Pastor Yolanda Batts, and Emily Bennington into a conversation on racial equality and ACIM. And I discovered this very late, somewhat recently, and it's been deeply revealing and intense, and also validating in a way that, and again, I do not claim to be any sort of expert on racial equality. My tendency was to avoid, because I had a hard time not only knowing how to show up, what to do, what to say, what to not do, what to not say as a white person, but also in the sense of I had a hard time myself knowing what I know about the course, knowing what I know what's true, having a hard time aligning that with what's going on in the world. Because I don't tend to be, well, I should say, I energetically, as a sensitive person, I can be very affected by what's going on in the world. But on the day-to-day level, I don't tend to be extremely affected by certain events. And is that me avoiding? Is that me just knowing the truth? You know, that there is no suffering. It's So this is all I've been doing this last week or two, is getting deep into this series that these 4 incredible, beautiful, knowledgeable women full of love and light have so bravely and courageously and vulnerably shown up to discuss. And just right away, the way that they brought in some of these course lessons and course quotes that can be used as spiritual warfare, and brought them to light in how they can be used more appropriately, and the things that are missing in a lot of the, course students can be very intellectual. We can be very caught up in it. And so my general experience with this spiritual bypassing of our emotional experience and our pain and our suffering was brought in the context of racial justice and everything going on. And feel guided to share a story that Freedom shared. And she was saying she was in a class or something, a gathering with a course teacher, wonderful course teacher. And there was an experience where, and this was her experience for decades, and she had said she had been waiting for 20 years, maybe it was 30 years, but 20 years she had been waiting to have a conversation about race in this course community that she has been in for over 20 years. And this makes me very emotional to even talk about again. And I just want to acknowledge that someone in what I can experience almost all the time as one of the most loving, understanding, and truth-telling communities I've ever been part of. But that has been very white-centered, has been missing something. And so for 20 years, she felt unheard and was very silent because she didn't want to be labeled, that person bringing up this topic, or she didn't want to, there's fear, there's intergenerational fear going on that I cannot possibly understand. And like I said, I'm not an expert on speaking about this, and it's uncomfortable that I'm even speaking on this topic right now. But I want to show up and own my own blocks, my own lack of awareness. Where is the racist in me? Where is the racist in us all? Where is that in me? I'm willing to look at it. Because I want to show up in a community where someone is not having that experience, feeling unheard or feeling unsafe, like they can't share something. And she described an experience where her experience, seeing things like the murder of George Floyd and all of these murders, these acts of institutionalized slavery, everything going on, any microcosm of something racist, someone says, those acts for her are the grief involved in those calls for love, cries for love, we could call them, those actions that happen in the world, happen to her in a community, personal level, anything, the grief that she experiences is the same kind of grief that someone experiences when they lose their mother, when their mother passes, when their loved one passes. That is the level of grief that people of color are experiencing when these violent acts happen in the world. And yes, we know this world is not real, but that is a real lived experience. And so to feel invalidated, you know, we would never say to someone who just lost their loved one, oh, suffering's not real. You know, we're not a body. We don't say that to someone who is experiencing some of the deepest grief they've ever experienced. And so the course is true. Yes, it's beautiful, but it's not always appropriate to share in any moment. So I'm just going to take a breath there, and I just invite you, like I've invited myself, to look at that right now within ourselves, and while holding our truth that our innocence is guaranteed, the beautiful part is we also get to hold ourselves responsible for when there was a perception, there was an action, there was something we did that is not perceived as innocent. And I'm sure if we all spend some time moving through this, if there's a trigger right now going on in you, let's just like take a breath about that, around that. Because maybe you're feeling activated, maybe you're feeling, you know, there's a charge somewhere in a certain part of your body. I invite you to place your hand on your skin in that part. You know, is it in your heart? Right now, my heart feels fluttery. My chest feels a little tight, that I'm talking about something really uncomfortable that may be triggering people right now. There's an insecurity, there's some anxiety around it. Where is that in your body right now that you may be feeling triggered? Maybe you're going through and you have a memory of a time that you felt unheard or invalidated in that way. Maybe there was a time that you recall doing that with somebody else. Whatever's coming up, breathe into that and just take some deep breaths. We're not trying to change our emotion right now. We're not trying to see it as not real and surround it with love. If that's happening, if that process already happened for whatever discomfort you experience and you move through that, great, beautiful. But that's not what we're trying to do right now. We're sitting with it so we can bring it up into the light to be healed. and to be seen for what it is. But we can't just pop it up there into the realm of light and love and see that right away. We need to move through our trigger. And this is holding ourselves responsible. So being responsible is being able to respond. So I'm responding right now to how I feel. So I'm not avoiding, I'm not changing the subject. I'm not spewing out coarse quotes to get me back out of the place of discomfort I feel in my body, in my mind, in my heart. I'm just sitting with it. And I'm willing to be okay with it. So ask yourself, are you willing to not judge yourself further right now for this experience? Are you willing to look at it with courage and with vulnerability and with strength? So right now I feel it shifting in me. I feel that sense of peace coming through because I've spent some time sitting with it. I've named it out loud. Thoughts, the sensations, the emotions. I have this belief that, so the thought, to name that out loud, there, one of the beliefs is I should not be talking about this as a not very informed white person. Another belief is who am I to talk about this, even as a queer woman? You know, I'm in a minority group. Yes, I'm a woman. Yes. But even that experience for me, I'm a very privileged queer woman. So not to divert too much from that, but these are the beliefs coming up in me, right? I'm too ignorant to know what to do or say about racism. I have guilt coming up about any time that I may have invalidated someone by having a conversation and trying to get them back to, oh, this suffering isn't real. You can be at peace now. All sorts of things like that. So I'm just looking at that. And I actually feel more peace coming as I just take responsibility for those things, and I'm naming them out loud and in front of who knows, whoever may watch this or listen to this. But all I know is I'm willing and I'm ready to do it. And the energy around this for me has been so charged up this week around this topic. And so I want to be a voice for that. Just listening about where I'm guided to go here. Okay, so I'm guided to share something that I had written down about responsibility. I was looking, before I got on here to speak today, I was looking for, because the guidance was coming that I was going to speak about this, but I was actively trying to avoid it and looking for what else could I be guided to talk about. Anything but this topic, please. Please, Spirit. And I had nothing. I mean, I had tons of things, but I wasn't meant to be. So yeah, so I'm going to breathe into that. So taking responsibility for myself, I'm also taking responsibility for others. I am not a body, I am free. So the Course talks a lot about slavery and being enslaved. Being enslaved to the ego mind is how it's mostly referred to. We're enslaved to our specialness, we're enslaved to others, we're enslaved to our own ego mind, we're enslaved to our beliefs, our ego, we're enslaved to the illusion of the world. So I'm not a body and I am free, and others are not bodies and they are free. But our lived experience is that other bodies, in particular, Black and brown bodies, are not having the lived experience that they are free. And because we are of the one mind, I am not free until those Black and brown bodies are free as well. And that might be a tough pill to swallow, because don't I get to do my healing regardless of whatever everyone else is doing out there, all the murderers and the people making bad choices? I still get to be at peace. Yes, absolutely. But there are no private thoughts. So we're of the one mind. So my responsibility is your responsibility. Your responsibility is my responsibility. And it's how do I show up in that? That's a lot. That feels like too much responsibility. I don't know about you, but that feels to me like a lot of responsibility. So maybe we can unpack this. That I'm not a body, I am free. It's like when people say Black Lives Matter, and then they say all lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter. That's saying the same thing as I am not free unless my sister and brother are free. So I'm just going to pause there and feel into some guidance. Okay, so what do we do about this? So this is the challenge that I've had. I don't know what to do or say. I don't want to offend. I don't want to sound ignorant. I don't want to be ignorant. But the quote in the Course that says, I need do nothing. So Freedom and Pastor Yolanda were speaking about this, and I need do nothing. This was really impacted in such a helpful way for me. I need do nothing. Just sit with that for a moment and notice what comes up for you initially around that quote. I need do nothing. This quote has been weaponized in the course community. That can be interpreted so many ways, right? Literally, it can be interpreted, I need do nothing. If I see somebody being hurt, it is not my responsibility to do anything about it. That it can be interpreted in that way, among many, many ways. So here's what it means. So Pastor Yolanda explained so beautifully that it doesn't mean I need do nothing about racism. It means, so I need do nothing means that I can become still so that I can wait and listen and get clear guidance on what to do and say. So let's then apply that. Well, first I feel the need to repeat that. So I need do nothing doesn't mean I need do nothing. It means I can become still so I can wait and listen and get clear guidance on what to do and say. So let's take that in and breathe that in. Notice anything coming up for you around that. So now I'm going to apply this to racism. So I need do nothing doesn't mean I need do nothing about racism. It means I can become still so I can listen and wait to get clear guidance on what to do and say about racism. So let's just sit with that for a moment and breathe that in. So I don't know about you, but as a white person, that hearing that gave me a lot of feelings. There were two sides of it. There was a deep sense of relief for me in just knowing what that really means. There was also discomfort. Well, okay, now what? That means I have to do something. What do I do about racism? So we don't have to figure any of that out now. I'm not an expert on that. I'm just sharing what I have learned recently from these courageous women sharing their experience, their stories, and their brilliance about their understanding of the course. And I think this is really worth looking at, and not just in the context of racism, but I need do nothing. Where could we look at that in our life and use, where have we used the course truths as an excuse to avoid how we feel, just looking at ourselves, not even involving others in our lives, just looking at ourselves. When have I used the course myself to avoid and bypass my own lived experience of fear, of grief, of sorrow, of abandonment, whatever it is? Where have we done that with ourselves? Every time I turn on the TV, a lot of those times, there's some subconscious thought going on in there of, I need do nothing. And now that's okay. Like, the beautiful thing is we are innocent. Our innocence is guaranteed. There's nothing wrong with me turning on the TV and avoiding any discomfort I'm having, or avoiding having a conversation with someone that I felt I needed to, that I was having a conflict with, right? Or avoiding, not just a topic on racism or what to do and say, anything. That's okay that I did nothing. I still get to be a child of God. I still am only love. But in order to remember that truth and to return to that truth, I need to name and acknowledge the feelings and thoughts and sensations that I had when I was not believing I had love. When my ego had a hold on me. Ego, you really got a hold on me sometimes. I need to acknowledge that it's there. Hello, ego. There you are again. I see you. I hear you. That silly ego. I was describing my ego the other day as Smeagol from Lord of the Rings. The specialness the ego thinks it is and thinks about me, my precious, my precious. The greed that Smeagol had over that ring. There was like this little Smeagol character in me when I was moving through some stuff. And that's what it's like. But Smeagol was a very loving character, lovely being. And Smeagol just got really caught up in the illusion, in the psychosis of what was not real. And so once I look at, as I'm talking through this process out loud, I am naturally returning to peace and love and joy. I feel it. It's there. And I think I got there because I just went through this process, and I went through it out loud, and I named my thoughts and my emotions and my sensations. I experienced them in a loving way. I didn't try to push them out the door. I didn't try to kill them off. I didn't try to avoid them. I sat next to them and I said, I see you, I hear you. Which that's a great takeaway. This is one of probably the first things I ever learned in grad school when I was in school to be a mental health counselor was, and someone said it in one of these racism classes. I don't remember if it was Yolanda or Freedom or Emily or Corrine, but they said, what can I say to someone to not invalidate them? And they said something along the lines of, or this is just being guided from me right now, From Spirit, I see you, I hear you. I'm sorry that you are having that experience. I'm sorry that you feel that way. And you name their emotion. And then further, you can say, what can I do to support you? I'm sorry you feel that way. I hear you. I see you. I feel you. What can I do to support you? And so my question is, what can I do to support you? I'm asking you as a listener right now. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for hearing me. And what can I do to support you? And if anyone would like to connect with me about this talk, I would love to hear your thoughts. I would love to hear your reactions, anything that came up around it for you, any feedback for me. I am here to be a happy learner. I'm willing to be a happy learner. I'm here to only be truly helpful. So please reach out to me if you feel guided. And you can do that by emailing me at kellylashcoaching@gmail.com. So that's KELLYLASH coaching@gmail.com. That's also my website, kellylashcoaching.com. So let's further the conversation. I'd love feedback too on things around this topic and other things with the course and that I share on Facebook and Instagram. So you can find me there as well under Kelly Lash Coaching. And please reach out. I would love to connect about this. So here I am showing up and being a happy learner. And I hope this talk was helpful and inspires someone to do the same. And shall I read something? All right, so I'm open the course up and read what I opened to randomly, but not randomly. Oh, this is one of my favorite pages I open to, the responsibility for sites. Oh, this is one of my favorite sections of the whole book. So I'll read a little bit of this. I'm responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience, and I decide upon the goal I would achieve. And everything that seems to happen to me, I ask for and receive as I have asked. That's a big one. This is the only thing that you need do for vision, happiness, release from pain, and the complete escape from sin, all to be given you. Say only this, but mean it with no reservations, for here the power of salvation lies. Deceive yourself no longer that you are helpless in the face of what is done to you. Acknowledge but that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. I love that line. Acknowledge but that you have been mistaken, and all effects of your mistakes will disappear. So I just spent some time acknowledging my mistaken thoughts, feelings, experiences, my fear of showing up, talking about this topic, et cetera, et cetera. I just named all of that. I talked about it, and I'm acknowledging that I've been mistaken about that. And all effects of my mistakes will disappear. So I'm willing to trust that that has happened. I think I'll leave it there. And so it is. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kel Lash. Grateful to have you here with us on ACIM Gather for A Course in Miracles, and a wonderful talk, very much things that are on my mind as well. So I love that you shared those, and you know, it is interesting as you were talking, and I was thinking, you know, some of the best teachers of A Course in Miracles that I know are African American. You know, so it's
Yep.
you know, I mean, it's like the course is not like very in fact, when I first started, I remember going, and the first, you know, big thing I went to that was A Course in Miracles, and Ken Wapnick came to Denver, and it was a bunch of old men and women, old white people. That was the only
Yeah.
people there, you know, and I and my friends were the only uh, variety of colors that were in the whole audience. It was pretty crazy, and but I did see, you know, it it is it's not because the course is exclusive in any way, because you know, very definitely it's, you know, it is about the oneness of us. And so, you know, helping us through any of the blocks that we have, whether it's racial or gender, or, uh, you know, our gender status. And there's a lot of, you know, times that, you know, we pick some special thing to especially make separate and different. And it really is the point to where all we need to do is see the Christ in our brother, and all those other differences um, disappear. Really, they
Yes.
make no sense whatsoever. So
Yes.
that's my goal always, is let me see myself. Let me see this brother as myself. Let me see the Christ here. And
Yes.
it is yeah, lovely. And then when you're talking about Freedom Cartwright, she's so wonderful. I
Mhm.
went on a train ride with her, and
Oh,
from I forget from where, New Jersey or New York or someplace, to Boston, and it was just what a lovely, lovely, lovely person, and
yes.
we had a lovely time. So I do appreciate her and her work very much. All right, well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and let you go. I'll stop this recording. Probably should have stopped it before I started chatting, but that's okay. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a wonderful way to kind of wrap up what I was saying. Yeah, let's see our brother in ourselves. Yeah, thank you for that.
Right. Well, we'll see you next week. And thank you so much for being here with us. And I hope you won't mind if I put this on our YouTube channel. Um,
Sure, I would love that.
okay, great. Wonderful.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much, Kel Lash. And we'll see you next week, and hopefully with Christina Louise. But if not, hey, you're perfect as you are. I love
Thank you, and so
it.
are you.
All right. Bye bye.
All right, bye. Love you all.
Love you too.